So there's been a lot of tech layoffs happening. Will you be my mentor? So I have cried many times. Imposter syndrome, gone. Confidence, here. Ooh, that is so cheesy, I know. Today we are doing a Q&A about being in your early 20s, new grad, big sister advice, and kind of just some of my perspective on the topics that you all asked on my Instagram. So we're gonna get started. I have it broken down into categories. So the first one is friendships. Number one question I always get is how do you maintain / make new friends as a new grad? Let me just say and just like acknowledge how difficult this is, because we all get busy, we get work, then we're tired, then all we want to do is just like potato out sometimes. But I will say you do have to put in the effort. Yeah, how are you showing up and being consistent? I always feel like connection and consistency is the biggest thing in an intentional, successful relationships or friendships. So that's been really helpful for me, and always celebrating like big moments together. So whether it's birthdays, promotions, we always make time no matter how busy it is. But if you are in a city where you are needing to make new friends, I know this is scary, but you do have to put yourself out there. It's kind of like dating. Go in situations where you're gonna meet new friends, say hi to people, introduce yourself, activities that you can bond over with somebody, I feel like is a great way, and everyone's just like down to make friends. Run clubs, I know is popular too. Culture clubs, churches, religious things, whatever floats your boat. I feel like these are situations where people expect to make new friends, and it's not weird to be like, oh yeah, would you want to grab coffee afterwards or follow up anyone would you click with. This again is going to take time and patience, kind of like speed dating. You're not going to love every single person you meet. Last one about friendships, letting go of old friendships and toxic friends. I'm going to come back to this statement all the time. Your friendships should leave you feeling net positive when you're texting, when you're hanging out. Whether, I'm not talking about like, oh my gosh, like what are they bringing to the table? Like they have to be giving me something. It's about the energy exchange. It's about the presence. It's about the support. And it's the way that they make you feel when you leave hanging out with them. If you're hanging out with someone constantly and you're like, oh my God, I'm so tired. Like I wish I didn't hang out with them. Or like, I just kind of feel like meh after hanging, or you feel drained. This is not worth it. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're toxic, but I want you all to reserve your energy for the greatest people and friends that you have in your life. Letting go of old friends is really hard. You feel guilty for letting go of friends of your past because of like, well, we've been friends forever. But if your only excuse for holding on to a friendship is time, you have to think about the circumstances you met. You guys met when you were elementary school and like just did life throughout until college. You can't fault yourself or guilt yourself or even the friendship per se to be like, oh, yes, we had great memories, but maybe we were more friends of convenience. And like, ask yourself, do you think you would have been friends with this person if you met them outside of all those years? And so I think freeing yourself of that like standard time is going to be really helpful. Accept, love, embrace what you had before, but it's okay to let go and move on. And you don't always need closure. I know I thought it was, when I was high school, I was always like, oh my God, I need closure. We need closure with the guys I like, the friends I wanted to keep. But the older I got, no closure is closure, and it's okay to move on, and no need to waste your life and time trying to seek affirmation or validation from people who maybe are not ready to give that to you yet, but like get it from yourself, move on, let time heal. If it's the right thing, then it'll come back around again. Okay, career. I have a lot of questions, so I'm gonna kind of speed run through them. I do have a whole bunch of career videos on networking, entry-level jobs, resume, but I'll do some more, but let me just go through these. Where to find entry-level jobs? I say LinkedIn and your school portal is going to be your best friend. Also look directly on the company sites and places like ZipRecruiter, any of these like job career posting places. I also love Handshake. A lot of schools, universities will use these. How to be confident at work and don't let yourself get stepped on. But this is something I still struggle with too, especially because I think it's because I came from an Asian American family, and this whole like respecting your elders, respecting corporate America, glorifying corporate America. So the biggest thing that's really helped me is finding mentors, and they don't have to be like official, like, will you be my mentor? But just figures you know that they are the people you go to advice with, even at work, in your personal life. And maybe they can be other people who work at different companies, but I have a few that at my job that I really trust when it comes to kind of like that older sis, like, you know, mom figure that give me really good career personal advice. Support system is the best thing, and these people have empowered me to do a lot of scary things, standing up for myself at work or vocalizing what I want. And yeah, it takes time and practice, and sometimes you're gonna cry while doing it, but you know what? It's all part of the learning curve. How to deal with imposter syndrome. I did a whole video on corporate advice that nobody gave me that I wish people knew, but I have this perspective on imposter syndrome that we need to evolve it. I feel like it's mostly women and girls feeling pressure to say this whole like, oh my gosh, I have imposter syndrome, because we're supposed to be humble. I rarely see guys talking about imposter syndrome. And I don't like that. I do think there's this like level of being self-aware that like, hey, I feel like I shouldn't be here. But like, number one, you do belong here. There's a reason why you got picked here. Lean into your strengths. Where are you good at? Where do you feel confident? You can balance your strengths and your weaknesses. Instead of seeing things you're not good at as an imposter syndrome, I would put it more of like ways that you can improve, ways that you can get even better, because nobody's perfect, nobody's good at everything, and nobody has a superstar moment at all times. You don't need to like overcompensate this whole like extra humble thing, because no, you're kick-ass at one thing and you're learning some other things. Imposter syndrome, gone. Confidence, here. Okay, I need water. The next one is talking to new people / meeting new people at work. Again, this is one of those things that is really hard unless you are going into the office, but even when it's remote, I would just set up coffee chats with people on your team, your cross-functional teams, and even if it's like a 15-minute casual coffee chat, like, hey, email them, like, I just want to get to know more about you. Keep it casual, keep it short, and then you're gonna find so many actually really cool, amazing, kind people that you click with. Like making new friends, you have to put yourself out there, put yourself in situations. Sometimes maybe it takes that first step, or even just one person who's gonna be able to connect you with more people. It's kind of like my network is your network. Next one is taking time off. So I don't know what your company's rule about taking time off is, what your manager or director's view on this is. So I would quickly find clarity and visibility into this. Everyone probably has paid time off. I don't know the logistics, but don't be afraid to take it. I will say, like, take it when you need to take it, but also kind of read the room of like, okay, is this a bad time to take time off? Maybe I can like adjust it a little bit if it's not like immediate urgent, but always put yourself first. Work is work. It's okay to take time off. And if someone's gonna hold that against you, you're at the wrong company. Tech anxiety layoffs. So there's been a lot of tech layoffs happening. I haven't really spoken about it because I just don't feel like there's anything to speak about. Again, I know these are business and things happen. These are the opinions of myself and not my employer. But I will just say that if anything this reminds you is that you can only do your best, show up, do the work, but at the end of the day, a company is a company. And so whatever that means of continuing to networking people, even when you're happy at your job, growing your skills, growing your network, interviewing once in a while, keeping your skills fresh, all these things are gonna be really valuable because, you know, company is a company, but you are you, so you have to look out for yourself and your skills. Work-life boundaries, and are there jobs that really are 9 to 5? I'm going to guess a typical super strict 9 to 5 maybe isn't going to pay as like crazy like investment banking salaries, but a lot of traditional federal jobs will probably have strict timelines because it's a government job. But they do have a lot of good benefits and good holidays. In terms of work-life balance, is something I'm working on as a new grad because I had an internship during the pandemic. I worked hella hours because I was like, oh, I must get that return offer because we are going into a recession and pandemic. And it's really hard for me too, but I think one thing that really helps is after hours, I remove the work email off my phone. I toggle it off. I don't really share my personal number or information with coworkers unless I built that trust and relationship. I think that's another key thing. Really learning to find hobbies and activities that set yourself up outside of your job, I think is really healthy. I'd say exercise is a great start. How you can feel best, cooking, taking care of yourself, showing up for yourself, fun artistic hobbies if that's something you're interested in. What to do when you cry in a one-on-one with your manager. So I have cried many times in many one-on-ones with a few managers, and it's not always easy, and I hate myself every time I do it, but I think it's like one of two things of like, number one, you feel really vulnerable and that you feel safe enough maybe to cry. So I think if that's the case, that you should feel good about that. And number two, it's totally okay to get upset about things and frustrated because so much of your life is at work. I will say what really helps me go into these conversations that are tough is writing down my thoughts and structure like a speech so I can get to my point still. So the worst part is you go into a situation, you cry, you're frustrated, but you don't even get to the point that you wanted to. But it's okay to cry. It's genuinely okay to cry. What kind of job to get if you don't know what to do? The Capricorn in me is like, then you should just get the job that pays the most so you could at least pay the bills while you're thinking. But I also know that's not always easier said than done. So I would say experiment with as many opportunities as you can, whether it's volunteer, startups, part-time, freelance, if you have that freedom and privilege. But if not, probably getting a boring, stable job for now, I think is a great way to just get your foot in the door, get some experience, pay the bills, and as long as it's not something so intensive that like you can't be looking for other jobs and opportunities, I would just use it as kind of like a transition time. So this portion is about personal. Number one, how do you combat the battle of the peer pressure of success and not comparing yourself to others and friends? The only comparison you should really have is yourself. Ooh, that is so cheesy. I know. If you are just 1% better the next day, then you're winning. And again, growth and personal growth is not linear. It's always going to be up and down. But I think finding a really good support system and friend group that inspires you, motivates you, supports you. I also think another thing to remind yourself is everybody's on their own journey. When it looks like one person has everything, they might have nothing compared to what you have. Like, you never know what someone is going through, and the metric of success for them could be something that you have and you have no idea. So it's just never a fair comparison. Like, God gives everybody different battles and struggles, so you just can't compare. In the end, we all kind of end up at the same place, dead. Was that kind of dark? No, this life is short. Believe in yourself that good things will come to you, because they will. It just takes time and patience. Sometimes it's gonna be your era, sometimes it's gonna be your flop era, but that's okay. Next question is about confidence. I will say confidence is one of those things that it just takes time, and it's gonna be an up and down battle and a muscle you have to train and continue to work out. It's not gonna be like, okay, one day I'm confident, check off, I'm forever confident. It's gonna take time for you to water and grow, and kind of like a relationship, you need to feed it. You need to work on it. I think for me, the biggest thing I've realized with people who struggle with confidence, they don't set themselves up for success. So like, let's say you are insecure about your looks, then I also notice that a lot of times they don't put effort into making themselves look good, or wear the makeup that they want, or the clothes that they want. Like, I always say, don't be hard on yourself when you didn't even give yourself that chance. I think Einstein said that insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Do different things, put in the effort, make a plan, microdose. So I have two things about moving out. Move out guilt, and then moving back home. In terms of move out guilt, I know this is like a big thing that a lot of the immigrant family daughters or sons experience, is this like feeling of leaving your family behind, that you're outgrowing them. And I think a different way to look at this is that they did everything for you and your family so you could do stuff like this, and for you to have wings to fly. And that doesn't mean you don't support them. That doesn't mean that you're leaving them behind, or you're no longer taking care of them. But you doing your thing and thriving and flying and growing personally, professionally, financially is the best thing you could do for them. And I know there's a guilt of like, I get to experience these things and these moments that my family doesn't get to. But remember, they did all this so you can, and you have the ability to bring them with you on this journey. Moving back home, I know so many people from college, from Berkeley, who still live with their parents because they want to save money. It's very expensive. If you can, do it. There's no shame. The thing I caution you is that you get too comfortable and you're not even saving money. So I would say set a plan, set a timeline, set boundaries, because there are definitely a lot of cons of still living at home for an emotional, mental reasons too. Give yourself grace. It's, especially in this day and age, very, very normal, because houses are so freaking expensive. I had tons of dating questions, and I'll put that in a separate video, so stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe and let me know what your favorite tips, advice is. If you have any more Q&A questions, leave it here. I'll add them for my next video, and follow me on my Instagram to be a part of my next one. I also do some just on my stories quickly, and I do have a story highlight that says life advice. I'm gonna link all my other advice videos below for you if that's helpful, but for now, I'll see you all in the next one.